Once upon a time in the land of the eternal winter, there lived an old man who had 3 sons. The eldest was called Jaime, which means laughter. The middle son was called Lumi, meaning snow. And the youngest was called Ano, meaning only one. One day the father said to his sons, "I'm going to die soon. So listen carefully to what I am about to say. After my death, do not allow anyone to enter our home. If a visitor comes to see us, drive him away with curses. However, if a beautiful girl comes to visit, then you must let her in. She will be your wife." After saying this, the old man closed his eyes and died. As soon as the sons heard these words, they went out into the yard and started shouting, "Beware, beware, no one is allowed to enter here." From that day on, no one dared to approach their house. It stood lonely in the yard like a desolate grave. Years passed and the brothers grew up. They never got married because no one dared to approach their house. Then one day a knock was heard at the door. All 3 brothers were startled and thought, "Who could be visiting us?" Jaime, the eldest brother, opened the door and saw a handsome young woman standing there. She was so beautiful that the brother couldn't take his eyes off her. He invited her in and she introduced herself as Marjata, daughter of the forest. Marjata asked for water to wash her face and hands, and when the brother saw how beautiful her neck was, he couldn't help but kiss her. Marjata didn't resist and soon became pregnant by him. When the second brother, Lumi, heard about this, he became very angry. He stormed into the room where Marjata was sitting and said, "You are only allowed to sit here with my permission. Get out of here right now." But before Marjata could respond, Lumi grabbed her braid and yanked it hard. Suddenly, Marjata turned into a snake and slithered away. When Marjata had crawled far enough away, she came across a rock and laid an egg under it. Then she shed her snake skin and turned back into a human. When she looked around, she saw a beautiful castle nearby and walked towards it. As she approached, she heard singing and playing of instruments. And when she looked through a window, she saw many beautiful maidens inside dancing and having fun. She knocked on the door and it was opened by a pretty maid. "May I come in?" she asked. "Of course," replied the maid. And when Marjata stepped inside, everyone stopped dancing and stared at her. One of the maids then took Marjata to a separate room and asked, "Why did you come here? Do you want to become one of our maids?" "No, I'm already married. My husband lives in a small house outside the city walls. It was built by my father. My father is a keeper of the underworld. He made a pact with the evil witch Luhi to marry his daughter Pohiola. But when the wedding feast was about to begin, my father changed his mind and wanted to break off the engagement. Enraged by this, Luhi put a curse on me. She said I would have to wander around for 9 years before I could return home. During this time, I can't speak or reveal my name. And if anyone asks me a question, I'm allowed to answer only with poetry. By the way, my name is Marjata." When the other girls heard this story, they felt sorry for her and offered to let her stay with them until her curse was broken. Marjata accepted their offer and stayed in the castle for 7 days. During this time, she spent most of her time by the window, sighing sadly. Meanwhile, news of her beauty spread to the king. who sent men to bring her to the palace. They found Marjata sitting by the window and asked her to go with them. She refused at first, but eventually agreed. When the king saw her, he fell in love and ordered her to be taken to the palace. There he gave her expensive clothes and jewelry and let her live in the finest chambers. But Marjata still spent most of her time by the window, sighing sadly. The king was sad to see her so depressed and asked why she was crying. "Oh, great king," she replied, "there is a golden castle in the sea where the sun rises. Its windows are adorned with precious stones, its doors are made of purest gold, and its courtyard is paved with precious metals. It has fields of gold and silver and halls filled with treasures. Unfortunately, I cannot go there because a fierce dragon guards it." Hearing this, the king became determined to conquer the golden castle. He assembled a large army and set sail for the dragon's island. The entire kingdom waited anxiously for the king's return. Every morning, people crowded the shore and asked the sailors if they had seen the castle. But the sailors always shook their heads. "We only see endless waves and hear the roar of the dragon." The king tried many times to conquer the island, but each time his ships were destroyed and his men lost their lives. Discouraged, he returned to the palace. He called Marjata and asked her why he failed in his quest. "Oh, great king, you have offended me. You didn't ask me first and just sent your men to capture the castle. Can't you see I'm sad and don't want to leave here?" The king was ashamed of himself for upsetting Marjata and asked for forgiveness. She forgave him and told him that he could take whatever treasure he wanted from the castle in the sea. But before that, he needed to bring her there. The king promised to do whatever she wished and went to prepare for the new campaign. This time, he ordered a giant ship to be built. He called it the Sampo. It was wider than any other ship and equipped with powerful weapons. The king invited all his nobles and warriors to sail with him. They went down to the shore and boarded the ship. When the king saw Marjata standing there, he asked her to get on board. She climbed aboard and sat on a special throne. With a loud roar, the Sampo set sail and headed towards the rising sun. They sailed for a whole week without seeing any land. But suddenly the clouds parted and they saw the golden castle in front of them. It really was as beautiful as Marjata had described. They sailed closer and saw a wide moat surrounding the castle. Marjata told the king to drop anchor and wait there while she swam to the shore to talk to the dragon. The king agreed and watched as Marjata swam to the shore. The dragon noticed her and shouted, "Hey, you over there, are you friends with Louhi?" Marjata replied, "No, I'm not friends with anyone. I'm just a poor traveler who wants to rest after a long journey. Please let me stay here for a few days until I recover." The dragon felt sorry for her and allowed her to spend the night in a barn. While Marjata slept, the dragon secretly took her to the fields and pulled out a plant with white flowers. He told her, "This is a sampa. It can be brewed into a drink that gives strength. Take this herb and make yourself a potion. Then you will be able to fight the dragon. Whoever drinks this sampa becomes strong and fearless." For a moment, the dragon forgot that the sampo had been brewed by Louhi, the witch, and now his own strength was growing rapidly. Marjata quickly ran back to the ship and handed the king the herb. He immediately brewed it into a drink and gave it to the warriors. Filled with new strength, the warriors went ashore and attacked the dragon. They fought fiercely and finally managed to slay the beast. After that, they entered the castle, robbed it, and took all the treasures back to their ship. When they reached the shore again, Marjata thanked them and said goodbye. Then she swam back to the ship and broke the magic that kept her silent and turned her into a stone. When the king saw her true form, he was shocked, but she only smiled at him and disappeared. Soon, Marjata returned to her original home. She told her brothers everything she had experienced, and they forgave her for leaving them. Then she returned to the king and they lived happily ever after. And that's all for today's fairy tale. Thanks for watching. See you next time. And please subscribe so we can meet again.